Hello and welcome to our 7-8 minutes of weekly Torah talk. Our guest today is Rabbi Susan Leider of the congregation called Shofar in Tiburon, California. Hello, Rabbi. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, Shmuel. Thanks for having me here today.
Our Parasha is Vayishlach, in which there's a great story. Yaakov returns to Canaan after a 20-year stay in Haran. He sends emissaries and gifts to his brother Esav in hope of a reconciliation. On the night before their meeting, Yaakov ferries his family and possessions across the Yabok River. He remains behind and encounters the angel with whom he wrestles until daybreak. Yaakov and Esav meet, they embrace and they kiss, and then they part ways. Yaakov purchases a plot of land near Shechem, whose crown prince abducts and rapes Jacob's daughter Dinah. Dinah's brothers Shimon and Levi avenge the deed by killing all males of the city of Shechem. Rachel dies while giving birth to her second son, Binyamin. She is buried in a roadside grave near Bethlehem. The parasha begins with this pasuk, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav el Esav achiv arza seir sde Edom. Jacob sent angels ahead of him to his brother Esav in the land of Seir, the field of Edom. So Rabbi, let me ask you this. There is something quite strange that is happening here. We have a moving encounter, and the Torah says, and Esav ran towards him and embraced him, and he fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And after all this, the brothers part ways. So is this really reconciliation?
I don't know, Shmuel. It sounds a little bit like Thanksgiving to me here in the United States. A little bit what we're getting ready to do around our holiday tables here on the West Coast. It'll be tomorrow. And I think that many of us are finding a lot of similarities between the opening of this parsha and perhaps some of our own anxieties about being with family and relatives. And some of us may feel like it's been about 20 years in the way that we come together as families at times.
So you see the same type of anxieties Yaakov is going through. You see a parallel today?
Well, I do. I don't think all families are cut of the same cloth, as we say, but I do think that there's more underlying anxiety when we gather around the holiday table than perhaps some of us are ready to acknowledge.
And do you see the parallel? What with the gifts, with the embracing, with the apprehension before the encounter?
Well, I think I see a covenant. I see a potential for us to focus our own holiday preparations, our own psychological preparations for being with family again. I was especially struck by Jacob's own reflection as he's preparing himself to meet Esav when he says, he says, I am going to get ready to become at one with my brother again. And how am I going to do this? I'm going to do this by preparing in advance, by thinking about what he might like, by perhaps even putting aside my own fears in order to have a successful reunion. Of course, Jacob's not sure at this point that will actually be effective, but I was struck by this use of this verb to atone or to become one, similar to what we do, exactly what we do on Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur is from lechaper, it's from atonement.
Exactly.
So you think Yaakov is trying to do what with his brother? What is the purpose of all of the preparation?
Well, what Rashi says about this particular verse is he says this parar, this ability to atone, is like a wiping away. So I think what Rashi's trying to tell us is that Jacob is attempting to wipe away the angst of the 20 years, the psychological drama of each one of the brothers, although he doesn't know for sure exactly what that is on the part of Esau. But I could benefit from that same type of approach from Rashi. What is our ability to make a clean slate, to wipe away past hurts or conflicts with our family, and to set those aside to be together?
Right, and when Yaakov and Esav eventually do part ways, how does it relate to their emotional encounter?
That Jacob is actually so sure that everything went as well in that moment for them, but I don't think he's convinced of the sustainability of that over time. And in fact, we see in the text that he somewhat hastens to separate from Esau. Esau makes several attempts to check in with him, make sure he's okay. Jacob says, I really am, it's really fine. We go our separate ways. Again, a great lesson here in preparing to reconcile with our families is that we often have to draw space to recreate those boundaries within relationship. So a successful Thanksgiving dinner where there isn't conflict and there isn't fighting doesn't have to necessarily translate then to seeing each other every single week. But you can acknowledge the blessing of what it is to come together for a brief period of time, have good interactions, peaceful interactions.
But then also make sure not to forget to go home after the meal is done.
Exactly. Just like we don't want to overeat at Thanksgiving, sometimes with fraught family relationships, we also don't want to over-engage, and be grateful for the positive interactions that we do have.
Well, I never thought that the story of Yaakov and Esav is going to teach me something about Thanksgiving. But we learn new things every week, I guess.
Yes, what the diaspora can have to teach us.
Rabbi, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Shmuel. Shabbat Shalom.